Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show. On this podcast, you'll learn from professional players, coaches, and executives from all over the world and see the court in a brand new way. And now, joining you courtside, your Gen Z host, John Hartofilis.
Hey, Brenton, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, John?
Fun. Having a great day. Obviously, really excited to have you on. And it's going to be fun, right? Talking to someone else also really young, right? Just obsessed with basketball, doing all this cool stuff. And obviously, you having gone to Fordham, right? I've been to Fordham so many times, right? Whether it's at Xavier High School, whether it's with things in college. I mean, Fordham just obviously 15 minutes away from me. And it's just obviously cool talking to someone that had such a great career there. I mean, just jumping right into just everything you're up to. I mean, what was maybe your high school career like? Because Fordham's obviously a great D1 school with a really good program. And I'm sure you're right, where the recruiting process of going from high school, right? You had a great high school career going to looking at Fordham. I mean, what did that all look like for you and continuing that passion for basketball after high school?
Yeah, John, to kind of like stop you right there, man, I had a really unique journey to Fordham. So basically to kind of, rewind a little bit. So I'm from Washington, D.C., was raised and born in D.C., played varsity basketball for 4 years, had a really great, time playing, and I knew I wanted to continue in college. And then, out of college, I didn't have any offers or anything like that. So just luckily enough, I got an offer to a Division II school in West Virginia called Allison Brothers University. Got down there. My parents moved me in. I was there for a week, went to a workout. I remember the first workout I went to, it was about 50 other kids in the gym, and they were all there, like going there to play basketball. And I called my parents and I'm like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Like, I thought I was going to, be there playing basketball. And I get down there and the coach is talking about, hey guys, we're going to have tryouts and, or we're going to, some guys are going to be on JV. And I was like, hold on now. Like, I came all the way down to West Virginia to play basketball in this Division II school. So once that kind of happened, I called my parents and I was like, hey, this may not be the right spot for me. And then basically my mom, lucky enough, my mom worked at Catholic University where I can get tuition exchange. And I went there for free for a year, kind of reset because Catholic University is in DC. So I kind of had to reset. And I was like, hey, Brent, are you going to continue playing basketball? Are you just going to go the school route? Like, what are you going to do? And then luckily enough, like that whole year, I just, kept working out. And then one of my counselors from Wilson High School in Washington, D.C., she coached at Fordham. Like, she went there and she coached their volleyball. She was like, hey, Brent, like, I really, you should look at Fordham. And I just went out there on a hunch. She got me in contact with one of the assistant coaches. And luckily enough, the year I was going to Fordham, it was Coach Neubauer's first year as a coach there. And I always remember Coach DePauli, Brent, I'm really close with to this day. He really took care of me, and I owe a lot of where I am today because of him. He was like, hey, Brent, you can come on and be a manager. So, I thought about that. I was like, I never heard of being a manager. I didn't know what that entailed, what I had to do. He was like, hey, just come in, be a manager, be around the team, and then maybe you can be a walk-on the following year. So I got up there my sophomore year at Fordham. Never been to the Bronx, only been to New York a couple of times. Didn't know anybody on campus, didn't know anybody on the team, only knew Coach DePauli. He moved me in. I got moved in with, a couple other roommates who were on the team. And then, hey, it was like, from there, try to figure out. So I bust my tail the first couple of months there. I was, wiping up sweat, coming there early morning practices. Because in my mindset, I was like, I'm going to find a way to get myself on this team. And then basically we were in practice one day and, my roommate twisted his ankle and Coach Neubauer was like, hey, Brent, can you get in? I was a manager on the side with a towel, and they knew I could play a little bit. He said, hey, Brent, can you get in for what is it called? Not practice squad, but scout team. Got in, blew right past Mandel Thomas, who's a great player at Fordham. And then after I had to practice, Coach Neubauer was like, hey, Brent, you're going to be on scout team for time seeing. So just fast forward, 2 or 3 months, crazy story, man. Like I was on scout team, still as a manager. And then literally, I started just playing really well and getting comfortable. And then next thing you know, he was like, hey, I'm calling you up. You're getting a jersey. You're going to play in, Friday's game against Coppin State. And that was my first game. Then from there on, I was a walk-on about my senior year. Not only was I still on the team, but I was a captain. I started at Davidson. played at Duquesne, played like 15 minutes at Duquesne, scored and played really well, man. So it was just a blessing. Just all started from just starting as a manager, grinding my way up, and just working really hard. And I was just lucky and blessed. Like Coach probably took a chance on me. Coach Newbar took a chance on me. All those guys at Fordham. And then right after Fordham, I just kind of knew I wanted to stay in coaching. Knew I wanted to be a graduate assistant. Knew somehow I wanted to be into coaching. And again, Coach Pauly was trying to help me out with his contacts my senior year. Started emailing different schools and just trying to figure out like what I was going to do. LinkedIn, reaching out to different connects, and then basically, University of Maryland got back with me via email. I was just literally just trying to email every school in the country. I would start like on the East Coast, Midwest, West Coast, just emailing every coach, hey, I'm interested in trying to be a GA. Maryland got back to me, got hired, man, and like kind of like, I would say the rest is history, but I'm just so young still. I mean, I'm blessed to, was to be a GA 2 years at Maryland and then have the opportunity to leave Maryland, get my master's degree, work with the Pistons this past year in the front office, and then now I'm back at Maryland as a video coordinator. So long spill, man.
I love that. And one of the biggest reasons I love conversations like this, and I mentioned it to you before the show, is that right, everyone has an interesting story and something like that, right? From your LinkedIn, I knew that you played at Fordham and I looked some stuff up on you, but I knew maybe about the walk-on story, but I had no idea that you were at another school to start, that you were a manager at Fordham, and then that whole story about, with the scout team. Like, that's incredible. And it's something that, right, you never know without actually getting to talk to you. And I'm obviously incredibly happy that we got to do this because that's an awesome story. That's something that to me means a lot. Just hearing that and obviously understanding how much work you put into to get to that point. So thinking about you walked us through maybe some of those games and what that experience meant to you. I mean, what did you know that maybe because obviously you had been a manager there though, to start that kind of getting into the coaching side or something with working in basketball after you graduated college is something you'd always want to do?
Yeah. So I kind of knew that, like, I know I wasn't going to the NBA. I know I wasn't, professional. So I was like, I love the game of basketball. How can I find a way to stay around? And I knew it was a graduate assistant route. I didn't know what graduate assistant entailed. Like my senior year at Fordham, I didn't know like all the stuff I know now about like film and synergy and sports code and, what goes into scouting reports and things like that. But I knew I wanted to stay around the game. I knew I loved being around like the guys and being in the gym. So that's kind of how I decided like, hey, like coaching or just not even coaching, just basketball is what I want to do like for the rest of my life because I love the game.
That's incredible. I mean, and obviously when you're at Fordham, right, it's everyone probably thinks about the stuff you were doing on Fordham's on the Rose Hill campus, right, with the basketball team, whether it was starting off as a manager, as a player, all that great stuff. But you're also a beat reporter, which is something that's something I normally feel like whenever I have beat reporters on the show or past beat reporters, it's something to do when they're way older, not when they're still in school. So I thought that was really cool, especially right with the first thing you did with the Westchester Knicks when they were at that time still in the D League. Like, what did that look like for you and getting into the journalism side of things?
Yeah, so I was a communication major at Fordham with a focus in journalism. So shout out to WFUV at Fordham. It's one of the best student-run, radio stations in the country. We have a lot of great alumni like Mike Breen, Tony Reale, Michael Kay, just to name a few. And then Bob Aarons was my boss, and he's great. He was great with me and kind of gave me an opportunity to kind of, be a beat reporter. And, I started off like just getting my hands on with everything. He was great with that. And I had opportunity to kind of cover the Westchester Knicks. I had opportunity to cover the New York Liberty, and then had the opportunity to cover the New York Knicks even by my senior year. So I was, if I didn't have games or we had off days, I was going to Knicks games, covering them, going in the locker room, trying to cover my beat, basically, like writing reports, getting mics in the locker room to players. So that was a really awesome experience. And just being in the New York area, that's, the mecca of like sports and the mecca of like journalism and things like that. So that was a great experience as well.
I love that. A lot of my friends have told me about WFUV,
yeah,
WFUV before. And I've always thought it was the coolest thing. It was cool when they would tell me about it, but that sounds I wish they'd explain it to me like that. I mean, that sounds incredible. They would never tell me about the Knicks and being a beat reporter. And that sounds awesome. Like, an experience like that while still in school even is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them, I didn't have that much time to do a lot with WFB because I was playing, full time and stuff like that. So a lot of the guys that I worked with, they covered the Yankees, they covered the Islanders, they covered the Rangers. They went to the Kentucky Derby, they went to the draft, NBA draft, combine, like whatever large sporting event, like WFB was able to get a media pass. And that's just out of respect of like the alumni that we have there, and out of respect of like, even though we're young and we're college students, like we do some serious work, and like we, the guys there, like professionally, do some great work and great things. I highly recommend like, people to take a look at WFB if you're at Fordham or if you're looking to get into journalism.
Definitely. I mean, definitely incredible experiences while you were at Fordham. I'm curious about, right, and that's something that a lot of listeners of this show, people my age especially, right, going to their senior year of college, are maybe thinking about the GA route or going to graduate school, or maybe what that would look like. I mean, what did that decision look like for you? Is it something you knew you were going to do maybe going to that last year? Or was it something that even after you graduated, you were still maybe a little up in the air?
Yeah, so grad school, yeah, I knew that was one of the, the pros of trying to being a graduate assistant. I knew that, like, hey, if you're a graduate assistant, like, you can go to school, you can get your school paid for and get that graduate degree. Just how important it is, because like, one day, I may not want to be in coaching. One day I don't want to be in basketball, or if I want to change routes, it just gives me options to always fall back to have that degree. So at University of Maryland, I was able to get my Master of Science in Business and Management. I got it in 2 years, and I was able to do that while coaching with the team and traveling. So that was really, really major and really big plus to be a graduate assistant.
So, I mean, well, maybe because I know you had maybe started as a manager at Fordham, and obviously as a big D1 program, there's definitely a lot of roles I'm sure you were playing there. I mean, how did I mean, because you had that slow background in the past, but being a GA, of course, is a whole different ballgame. I mean, what was maybe the roles you were playing while at Maryland that was so different from what you had ever done in the past?
Yeah, so when I got to Maryland, one of my main responsibilities was making sure guys got in and out of the gym. So that was a really big priority. Coach Turson does a great job of developing players. I mean, you see Kevin Huerter, what he did Game 7, against the Sixers. Some of the drills and some of the things he was doing in that game, I'm like, Coach Turson teaches that every day. So it's really cool to kind of see the development of like the players in the NBA. I mean, Chris Middleton, another Coach Turson player, and then Jalen Smith is, of course, like, I mean, I think Coach Turson has like 4 guys in the conference semifinals, which is probably top in the country. Just developing players. So just kind of carrying over what he does in Maryland, he kind of allowed me to make sure like guys are getting in and out of the gym, getting the shots. So that was really great. We had my 2 years there. We had Anthony Cowan, Jalen Smith, Bruno Fernando, just name a few, Aaron Wiggins, Daryl Marcel, and those guys. My main responsibility was make sure those guys get in the gym at nighttime, in the morning, whenever. Like the gym is open 24/7, along with helping my assistant coaches with scouting reports, whether that's like with play calls, and different things like that, and then just handling everything in the office or camps in the summer. So it was great deal of responsibility, but it was a great experience, and it prepared me, greatly to go to the Pistons this past year, and prepared me to come back and be a video coordinator.
Thank you for sharing that, because it's obviously something that maybe I'm thinking about, that listeners of the show or my friends of mine, I know are thinking about. So it's obviously great hearing it from you, someone that's done it and someone that's found success after doing that. It's definitely really cool thinking about that. Obviously, right, when you finished being a GA, that was during one of the craziest times ever, really, right? With COVID. I mean, what did it look like for you transitioning from there, maybe from the consistency of school to now you're in the job search now, and then you end up with the Pistons in a role there?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was really, it was really tough, with COVID and everything going on in the world. I mean, not only like just trying to find a job, but just like, managing to make sure you don't get this like, virus that, is killing people. So just trying to like stay sane in my own and be in the house and just, networking, connecting with different people. So right after we won the Big Ten championship at home against Michigan, we were preparing to go to the Big Ten tournament, preparing to go to the NCAA tournament. Then we got hit with the news that everything was canceled. So after that, like, we didn't think, I didn't think it was going to take this long to be in a pandemic, but kind of just went back home, my family, and stayed there for like the next like 4 to 5 months throughout the summer. And then just networking, connecting. And then I was lucky enough to get on with the Pistons in the front office. Had an amazing experience this past year. I'm really excited for the organization and working under Troy Weaver. Really look up to him. And it was just a great experience, man. And I loved it in Detroit.
I can only imagine. I mean, because it's fun when thinking about most like NBA internships or anything like that with teams. It's always like with the video coordinator, something maybe much lower on the franchise as opposed to in the opposite. I think that's awesome. So I mean, what exactly in that internship role maybe were you doing on a day-to-day basis? Because that's something that I really, even with all the guests I've had on the show, I've never really heard of someone having an internship like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was a basketball operations assistant. So basically, my day-to-day roles was I worked in the scouting department, so player personnel. So basically, in the college scouting side, so I was, going from coordinating travel for my executives, filling databases of like our players and things like that, keeping track of that, working everything with our college scouts. And then I had also the opportunity to kind of hit 7 conferences that that was my lead. They were low major conferences, but kind of scouring through those, trying to find prospects, working my way up the chain to like our scouts or our director of scouting. If any name popped out to me and stuff like that. So it was really cool. I got to go on the road in one game to check out our prospect. So I had I had a really good experience, hands-on, working in the front office, and got to cut up film. Just got to do a lot of great things working in the front office. To kind of just when you're working there, you're just kind of like, whoever, if the pro side needs something, you help with the pro side. If the coaches need something, you help with that. So it was really cool. Got to be part of the draft last year. So it was really cool, man.
So quick. I mean, I can only imagine. That sounds incredible. And obviously with the draft coming tonight, right? Just imagining just all the stuff going on in the NBA just every day. I'd imagine that role as an intern there was such a learning experience with so much going on. But then right now, you're as of a few weeks ago, you're back with Maryland as a video coordinator there. I mean, what's it like? I mean, just to put it simply, going back home, kind of.
Yeah, man, just it's exciting to come back home and just like I said, like I've just been blessed my whole life just to kind of experience things that I've experienced. Just a blessing to come back home, come back to Maryland, work for Coach Terz, an unbelievable coach and a great coach. We have a great staff. We have Danny Manning on our staff, Bruce Shingler, Matt Brady, and Greg Manning. Just guys that I can learn from and, take things, each and every day of how they approach work, how they approach, practice, how they approach games and preparation and things like that. To kind of be back in that role. And then, my biggest thing I like to do is give back. So with all our managers and GAs that are working under me, even though I feel like, even though I'm the video coordinator, I feel like I'm still like on their level because I'm around their age. So like I want to grow. As I grow, I want them to grow with me as well. And I know when I was like in their position as a manager and a GA, like I wanted to have somebody I can look up to, and I feel like they can have that with me. So I'm kind of helping them with film, in the process of helping them with film this year and trying to prepare them for the next level and the next steps in their level and their development. But it's been great, man, to be back home. We have a great team, for next year, great conference. Fans are going to be back. So it's exciting, man. I'm really excited for college basketball season.
So I love that last part, right, about you helping the guys coming behind you, right? And the idea of you've been through it, you have this experience and kind of sharing that and giving it back. I mean, I'm curious, right? I mean, it's maybe a question maybe asked a lot of times is what would you, if you can go back and give yourself advice, what would you change? But I mean, what's some of the advice you're giving these guys now that you've done that and you've gone and worked with an NBA team, you've been on the video side of maybe other programs. Like what does that maybe look like for you and maybe pass that knowledge down?
Yeah, so my biggest thing is just like, be happy where you are pretty much. Like just put your head down and work. Like I got to where I was because I wasn't focused on the next job or focused on like what I'm gonna do next. Like I was like, hey, like I'm at Fordham, I'm a manager, I'm not looking to try to like, yeah, I wanted to be a walk-on, I wanted to play, but I was like, I'm gonna try to be the best I can be as a manager. I'm trying to be the best I can be as a walk-on. I'm trying to be the best I can be as a GA and so on. And that's kind of helped me to get where I'm at today, just like putting my nose down and just grinding. I feel like hard work pays off. That's what my dad's always told me. And that's what I've done. That's what I'm trying to instill in them, like being in the office, being around, because the more you're around, not only are you learning more, but you're getting more knowledge and more intel of what's going on with the team, what's going on with the organization. So that's another big thing with me and young guys. So that's probably my two biggest things. Just be around and work hard, and the rest takes care of itself.
It's a great way to end it because that is really how it goes down, right? The rest will take care of itself as long as you're right. You're giving out that positive energy and doing things the right way. So, and Brenton, thank you so much for coming on the show. Obviously, right, with everything, the new job and everything going on, it's been a pleasure having you on and maybe taking so much advice from someone that's not too much older than me, but doing things the right way.
Yeah. Well, John, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.